Good evening. This is Matt Mosley with Big Pig Energy, back for season 2. This year we're sponsored by Barley and Vine out of Bentonville, Arkansas. Joining me tonight, Coach Kevin Kelly, Grant Cook, former Razorback, and the great Otis Kirk from Good evening. This is Matt Mosley with Big Pig Energy, back for season 2. This year we're sponsored by Barley and Vine. Guys, good. I'm sorry, we're having some technical issues this afternoon. It's already started. First game of the season. We're already having problems. Hey, Western Carolina. Let's review this real quick. Recap for the game last year. The Hogs started off the 2023 season at a 56-13 win over an FCS team of Western Carolina. A lot of questions. I feel like Coach Kelly. A lot of questions still about this Razorback football team. I know they looked good. We didn't run the ball very well on Saturday, but the passing game looked much improved over last season.
Yeah, and I guess you're going to go with the positives and the negatives. And like I said, the positives was the passing game looked good. I thought
we didn't run the ball very well on Saturday.
You get a lot of feedback, Matt. I don't know if you're getting that. I'm getting you about 10 seconds delayed in my ear.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I thought the passing game looked better. I thought it should. I thought it would with Dan Enos under there. And, it's hard to tell. Western Carolina is really not going to put up a big fight. And they were there to take away the running game. Everybody's talking about safeties down and this and that and the other, but flip the switch a little bit. I'm a little disappointed in the run game. Real disappointed in the run game. We got a very good running back in the Rocket, and our offensive line should have been able to push them around. People are like, well, they were bringing safeties down. Well, that means you still should get to the second level, the linebackers, and we didn't do a very good job of that. So, we've got to get that fixed. The good news is our offensive line coach is probably the best. Our head coach is probably the best offensive line coach in the country. So, but he needs to get to work and needs to pay attention to that, because that's going to be something we have to be able to do if we're going to compete in the SEC.
Well, I was tickled with KJ's performance. I mean, went 18 for 23, 246, had 3 passing touchdowns, got his first 12 completions in the game. His first Hog to do that since Brandon Allen went 14 for 14 against A&M back in 15. What I really liked about that first touchdown play, one, it was quick. They moved fast. They showed the ability to move with some tempo and keep going. But the block that Isaac Tasala laid to help break Jaden Wilson loose, Otis, that to me shows what kind of player number 4 is going to be.
Yeah, that kid's a stud. I mean, he came out of high school where he was an option quarterback and didn't have very many offers, and went to Hillsdale. And that's one of the positives. There's positives and negatives of the portal, but that's one of the positives, that a kid like him and he and Andrew Armstrong can move up to levels. Armstrong wasn't that good in high school. I saw him play, but he got there and he developed it at Texas A&M Commerce. And then Isaac just got overlooked up there because he was an option quarterback on a small high school team, like 15, 20 players. So that's where it's a positive. And yeah, neither one of those kids drops anything, but Isaac touches it, it's called, even if it's just with one hand. I tell you what, I was impressed. Here's why I was impressed with more than anything, though, was the fact that Arkansas should have beaten Western Carolina bad, and they did. Because let's tell you, that program's not always done that. They've played down to the level of competition many a times and stuck around, let the team hang around. And that was one time that they didn't do it. And that's what impressed me. As far as the offensive line, I think we got to remember there was 4 new starters out there Saturday. I'm not saying they shouldn't have pushed Western Carolina around, but you've got one returning starter out there, and that's Bo Limber. He's playing a different position than he played one game at center. That was the bowl game. Other than that, he's never played center. And then you've got Brady Latham, what didn't play. So you've got 4 new starters out there, man. I mean, and they've got to do better, because 3 of those 4 will be starters probably the rest of the season. So you've got to get better. There's no doubt about that. But what I saw of the offensive line, what I forecasted preseason was they wouldn't look good against Western Carolina. They'd look a little bit better against Kent State. Then they start getting a little even more better against BYU. We'll see if that holds true. Because I don't think they're not, it's untalented. I think they're just not experienced. And I think the only way you can get experience, put them out there and play. I think they'll be okay. They better be, because like Coach said, they've got to run the football. You can't put out a performance like that, if you can't block Western Carolina when you've got the schedule they've got, they could have problems. But I think there was a reason for that. We'll see how much Brady helps. And I just think there'll be improvement going forward. If there's not, then they're in trouble.
Well, to your point, Otis, I think, moving Josh Braun to the left side, Brady Latham not being there Saturday, Tykese Crawford. I'm not sold on Crawford completely 100%, but I think not having that extra leadership and Brady Latham on the line Saturday kind of hurt him in the run game.
He's a captain for a reason, man. He's a captain for a reason.
Rocket Sanders struggled in the run game on Saturday. He finished with 15 carries on 42 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now we've since heard that, Coach Pittman came out I think it was yesterday, said that it sounded like Rocket was going to be out a couple of games, got a little knee issue that he really didn't dive in too far into that. Don't want to speculate about what it could be or what it couldn't be. But that running back room is deep. I mean, we've got AJ Green sitting there, you've got Rashad Davinian sitting there, you've got Duke Johnson coming back, you've got the freshman and Isaiah Auguste, who I really was impressed with on Saturday. I mean, I get it's an FCS line and all that, but he was getting his shoulders over his shoulders over his knees, really hitting the holes hard, driving through the gaps and getting positive yardage.
Look at the bowl game. They didn't have Rocket in the bowl game, and they scored 50-something points. I mean, AJ and Rashad over 100 yards. So I mean, they're going to be okay at running back. I mean, you miss Rocket, but they're going to be okay there.
And Grant, I'd love to get you to chime in here. I mean, as far as offensive line goes, when you have a guy have to move out or you got a guy injured that's on the line, how big is it for that chemistry of the offensive line? I mean, how tough is it for you to as a line unit, a cohesive unit, when a guy's out? How tough is that for you to go into a game?
I mean, it throws a kink into anything, right? I mean, and it's really 5 guys playing as one, and the longer that you're together through these, through spring, you kind of, whether everybody wants to say anything set in spring or not, yeah, there's a couple of components that are probably unset early in the spring, and then coming out of spring, though, usually if you've got guys that are really talented, you as a coaching staff, I feel like you probably kind of know who those 5 are going to be. Maybe there's 6 or 7 guys that are in the hunt for those 5 positions, but I don't know when the decision was made with Brady and how long those 5 guys had a chance to play together. But just going from season to season, for me, we had some guys graduate, some people come fill in those spots, and but anytime that you've not got that 5, that cohesive unit of 5 guys that plays game in and game out together. I mean, you talk about Travis Swanson and me and DeMarcus Love, Ray Dominguez, Wade Grace, and Alvin Bailey, all those names, we played together so much that we didn't have to make calls when we broke the huddle. When we got up to the line, we just knew, hey, he sees this, I see this, and we just had complete trust in one another. And that goes a long way. I mean, if I don't have to tell you what you're doing, we're not tipping the defense on what's going on. Long story short, I mean, yeah, we should have pushed them around a little bit more, 100%. But it's the first game out of the gate. And to Otis's point, I think this week we'll probably make a stride. We'll go push Kent State around a little bit more. I think they're probably going to want to put an emphasis on the run game because of what they saw last week. So, BYU always, a good program. I don't know where they are quite this year, but I mean, historically, they've been an upper level opponent, and then you start the gauntlet. And so I think we'll come around. I think Brady being back in will be helpful. Obviously, he's a really, really good player. And I think we'll have some opportunities to run the ball this week. Sad that, Rocket's not going to be in. Doesn't sound like, as explosive of a player as he is, you always want him on the field. But I feel like if there was a running or a group on this team that could stand to potentially not have somebody, it's definitely the running back room. There's a talent from top to bottom there. So, hopefully this week we see them push those guys around a little bit more. We put an emphasis on the run game, and that's what they're thinking this week in practice.
Looking at the wide receivers, and we kind of bounced around a little bit on the offensive side. I'm getting the defense here in just a second, but the fact of having Andrew Armstrong, Isaac Casal, the freshman and Davian Dozier, and then Jaden Wilson all getting their first Razorback receiving touchdowns in the same game. I mean, it shows that they're spreading the ball around. It shows that KJ's not just focusing in on one guy, because in KJ's career, the last 3 years, he's really only had one or two guys that he felt comfortable enough, like, hey, I can put the ball down the field. 2021, Traylon Burks. Last year, it was kind of Jaden Hazelwood, a little bit of Matt Landers there late in the season. But this year, you saw him spreading the ball to Armstrong, to Sala Dozier, Wilson. Luke Haas got into it early. That's the one thing, Coach Kelly, that's kind of stuck in my craw a little bit. I really want to see him work the tight end a little bit more in the first half.
Yeah, they've got to do that off heavy play action, though. When you can't run the ball, it's hard to do heavy play action or get the linebackers to respect that. And I think that's going to contribute to not getting to the tight end. The tight end's the easiest one to throw out of play action, because basically the guys covering him, the linebacker, has to guard the run. He, comes up, gives a block look and releases out. He's got to step on the linebacker. But when you're not running it well, it's going to be hard to do that. If they can run it well, they'll be able to get the ball to tight ends a lot better. I mean, that was just a case of them not being able to run the ball, in my opinion. Who knows what they really think of them, that we're not going to know that until we see a few games played out. But I do think when the running game's there, they'll be able to do that. I know you guys all think, well, we'll push them around next week and all that. I'm concerned. I'm genuinely concerned. I'm the guy that's not afraid to, I'm not the guy that's always super positive about the Hogs. I just call it like I see it. And we should have been able to push them around, because these guys are going to be starting. We lost one of the best offensive lines we've had in the whole, in a long, long time from last year. And that's a point of concern. Can we make up for it? Absolutely we can, but that's still going to be there. And, I will say this, though. I do like the fact that we're very, very efficient in the passing game, because maybe, just maybe, when we can't run it, we can still throw it effectively. And you need to be able to go into a football game and win a few different ways. It'd be great if you could win on running the ball, passing the ball, or just playing great defense. And I can't always say I felt like we could come from behind throwing the ball, or throw it if we had to. And we looked good there last week.
Well, looking at that, talking about, let's move over to the defensive side of the football. Didn't see a whole lot of pressure up front. I mean, you saw some get in the backfield. You didn't see Landon Jackson. I kind of thought Landon Jackson would have a better game than what he had on Saturday. Quincy Rhodes got, penalties. I think we had 7 penalties for almost 90-something yards, Otis. The defense showed up big in the turnover battle. I mean, they had the most turnovers they had since 2020, and that was against Ole Miss. Huddy had a pick early. Nudie got one. Jay Johnson picked up one, and then, of course, Brad Spence took one to the house. I think 65, 70 yards.
85, yeah.
85 yards. Been really big on 22. I mean, Brad Spence is everything I've seen from, talking to you, talking to some other folks in the media that got to see practice. Brad Spence has showed up week in and week out up there. They also had a forced fumble by Jaden Johnson and another freshman, TJ Metcalf. That's another Birmingham kid that came up big in the second quarter and really got after the ball.
Metcalf's going to really help them. I'm telling you, that kid at safety is going to be a bright player. Good player now, but he's got a bright future up there. I mean, not trying to single him out. I'm just saying that, Metcalf is somebody that I even asked Marcus Woodson about when he came in the media room, the one chance we got. I said, I know you like Jalen Braggs. He's bragged on him a lot, but I said, you put TJ in that same category. He said, you bet. So he likes Metcalf too, and I can see why. I own both those kids. Braxton had a little rough game at times Saturday, but Metcalf is just looked that way. And Spence is really a kid that's mystified me. In the spring, he just kind of disappeared. He was hurt some, but boy, this fall, he came in the first practices preseason. I mean, he's been everywhere, and he's put himself in probably honestly maybe the 2 deep at linebacker. Yeah, and he did it this summer in this preseason, because last spring he really was. It was Carson Dean that you were hearing bragged on, not Brad Spence, and he was hurt some. In fairness to him.
Well, looking at Spence and talking about Metcalf, I mean, I'm partial to these Birmingham kids because I've seen them all for the last couple of years. And I'm really looking forward to TJ's little brother getting Tevis on campus, because that kid's a freak. He's a freak. Since 2020, Sam Pittman's coached a total of 39 picks in 37 games. and Hudson's got 5 of the 36. So, I know last year and a couple of years ago, people have really been down on Huddy. I really like this moving Hud to safety. I think it's going to help his game. It helped his game late last season. Look for Hudson Grant to really step up as an upperclassman, as a leader in that secondary, to step in and really take a main role.
Agree. I think we had the injury bug last year, and Hudson was probably playing out of position. I know, you heard a lot of people say that. He's probably more of a natural safety than he is a cornerback. I'd say cornerbacks battling the left tackle on an island out there for the hardest position on the field in college and professional football. But, I think Hudson's giving himself a fighting chance at safety. Give himself a little bit more time to see how things develop and out in front of him and get downhill and make some plays as well. So I'm excited to see him play in his natural position. And, it's like any other season, right? I mean, we have a little bit more depth, it looks like, across the board, but we can't get hurt, right? We've got to be able to stay healthy this season, and hopefully new strength and conditioning staff will help with that as well. But as long as Hudson can stay at safety, I think he'll impact the defense positively for sure.
Coach Kelly, I was really impressed Saturday special teams wise. We didn't have any miscues, didn't have any bad punts. We didn't kick the ball much. I mean, I think Max Fletcher ended up punting for like 249 yards the whole day. I think his career long of 52 yards in the third quarter. Saw improvement from Max Fletcher from last season. I think last year he averaged like 30 yards a punt. He's changed his punting style a little bit, get away from that Aussie rules stuff, which I'm now a big fan of. I really like Aussie rules football. But seeing him on Saturday make that jump as a sophomore, I think that's going to pay dividends later in the season for us.
Yeah, I'm not a big special teams fan, but you do have to do them right. You've got to be able to punt when you're going to punt, and there's nothing worse than punting and choosing to play field position and having a bad punt. And the fact that they got back there and did what they were supposed to, it's almost like Grant Cook was talking about, offensive lineman. You don't notice the special teams unless they do something really, really awful or really, really great. If they pancake a guy, you might get lucky and get seen on TV. Or if they get a holding penalty or give up a sack, and that's really like special teams are. Unless we run back a kick, you don't see them. But if you don't hear anything about them at all, that probably means they were rock solid, and that's what you need them to be. I don't know if you're going to talk about it at all, but can we talk about my boy Jacoby Criswell a little bit?
Oh, absolutely,
man. I'm a big fan of his. Coached against him. Was so glad he went to Arkansas, transferred in from North Carolina, and I don't know what kind of reps they're giving him in practice, but. We all saw last year, and everybody talked about it in the offseason, how much we needed a good quarterback backup to KJ because he runs so much. And I've said all year long on the buzz, and I'm saying it again now, if they'll give him just enough reps in practice, we'll have a solid backup if KJ does decide to run the ball a lot, or coaches let him, or whatever their game plan looks like, or if he just has to because it's a big third down play. And he runs the ball and he gets banged up, I feel like we've got a backup quarterback that we can put in, run the offense, and can make every single throw. And probably, I think he's got a chance to be really, really good. So to see him get in there and get to throw a couple passes and show off a little athleticism and get used to the feel of playing in Arkansas in front of the home fans. It's a different feeling for those guys than where he was. So I'm excited about it. I'm glad he got a chance to go in there. And, man, I thought that was a really bright spot. It was 2 passes, but I thought it was a bright spot for Arkansas.
Talking about
like that statement 1,000,000%. I mean, we'll go to Twitter and I love Jacoby Criswell, man. I mean, I thought they recruited 3 quarterbacks in high school, and I get why Chad signed his son or recruited his son, but they recruited Haynes King, the Morris kid, and Jacoby. And I thought Jacoby was the better of the 3 then. And I'm not just saying it. I really thought he was better then. And I mean, coach is right. If KJ gets hurt and you don't want him to, but if he does, they've got a quarterback now that can go in there and run the entire offense.
I'm telling you, we coached against him in the playoffs and we beat him like 70-50 or something. But our whole game plan was to stop him from running and throwing. Like a spy the whole game. We didn't run up the field with our defensive ends to open up any alleys or stuff. He still threw for 300 and ran for 200 on us. And literally, he was what we were trying to stop. Yeah. And I watched him throw in pregame. And, it's easy to throw sometimes. I mean, there's a million guys that can throw good with nobody coming at them, but we were bringing heat, and every quarterback in the NFL last year was worse under pressure. And he really impressed me because we were blitzing every other play, and he just handled it and stepped up and did the things he needed to. So a guy like that transfers over into college.
Running to his left and throws back to his right. Coach knows what that was Saturday to Dozier. I mean, that was not an easy throw, and he puts it right on the money. And I mean, that was not an easy throw.
Yeah, agreed. Jacked up about getting to see him play a little bit more.
Yeah.
That's really the only thing that I had to complain about Saturday outside of the run game was we didn't see the second teamers as much as I probably would have wanted to. I think if they hadn't scored that touchdown late in the third quarter, I think we probably would have seen them in the third instead of in the fourth. But I'm really hoping based on because I watched the Kent State UCF game the other night. We're gonna get into Kent State here in a minute, but based on what I saw against Kent State, if we can do our job, our starters ought to be able to sit in the second half. We shouldn't have to play them because these guys they're hot garbage. Real quick,
Sam, that's the only problem, man. It's just that Sam just does not take them out till the fourth quarter, man. I mean, you can love it or hate it, but that's just Sam pretty much anyway.
Yeah, you're right. Real quick, want to give a shout out to one of our sponsors. We're going to have a visit here with a recruit from Leeds, Alabama, Leeds High School. Kavion Henderson will be coming on shortly. But I want to give a shout out to Better Mind, Better Body by Lifestyle Print. Discover the lifestyle choice that empowers and uplifts the BMBB lifestyle, where a better mind leads to a better body. Born out of the visionary streets of Vancouver, Washington in 2016, they began their journey to as a haven for men seeking mental health support. Today, they've evolved in steering the community towards awareness and well-being through remarkable service projects and unique apparel that speaks volumes. BMBB is a huge part of what Big Pig Energy is going to do this year. A lot of the artwork that we're doing on the social media and the stuff we're doing for the athletes is coming directly from our friend Phil Kaysen and BMBB out of Vancouver, Washington. But joining us right now from Leeds, Alabama, Leeds High School defensive end, and I think Otis, you might know this guy a little bit. Kavion Henderson. Kavion, welcome to Big Pig Energy. How you doing, buddy?
Good. Thank y'all for having me.
Absolutely. I want to ask you a few questions. We're gonna have to bounce around the room a little bit, but I got a couple of questions I want to ask you. I want some things I think the Razorback Nation would want to hear. Congratulations on the commitment, man. I've been following your career for the last couple of years. I live right down the road. We're practically neighbors.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations on your commitment to the University of Arkansas. I can't tell you how fired up we are.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Share with us what influenced your decision to choose the University of Arkansas.
Just the way I went. First of all, I went down there with my friend Dallas Young. Didn't know too much about Arkansas. Just grew up always a big LSU guy, an Alabama guy. But I just know that I wanted to be different. So start my own wave. So when I went down there, didn't know this coach at all, Coach Pittman. He was a great coach. He was excited. I just know he was a down, true-to-earth guy, and then the staff he had was unbelievable. The first staff he had was unbelievable. And then I just kept coming and coming and coming. It just kept getting better and better. Then he has the new staff, which was some familiar faces that I know. And, man, that just shot it off for me. And the way he just treat my family, him and Coach Adams, the things that he does, like the position coaches, I think what they does is unnoticed. Everybody just focuses on the head coach, but can't forget about the guys that's really recruiting them too hard. But Coach Pittman, he's just a great guy. Just because just can't say too much about him, man. He's just real. So down there, guy.
Kavion, what expectations do you have for your time as a Razorback? I mean, you got to have some sort of ideas. Like what's Kavion's goals when he gets on campus?
My goal is to come in and learn. I want to learn everything. I got a great defensive line coach right now that taught like a whole bunch of NFL players like DJ Dale, Marcel Darius. So my technique right now, if I sharpen a few things up, I just want Coach Adams to all the stuff that I'm doing bad right now or mistakes. I want to sharpen that up, get stronger. I want to get stronger. and just staying in shape. And that I think just want to get on the field early, just help out. But I just know they got some great guys in front of me, so I know that won't be easy. So not just saying it's gonna go just straight how I want it to be. So if it doesn't go good, I'm just stay to the course and they maybe jump in the second year, but just know I'll be ready when my time comes.
You know, being a college athlete, and Grant was one, played at the University of Arkansas. What message would you send to younger athletes that are wanting to follow in your footsteps? I mean, what would Kavion Henderson say to them right now if he had the opportunity to speak to young folks?
Just trust the process. That's all you got to do. You got just put God first. You got good days and bad days, but you got to keep faith. I won't be where I am right now without God. So all the young kids ask me all the time, what did you do to get a whole bunch of offers, these offers? I just prayed, not even just about offers, just prayed just to maintain and have a good life. And then the football stuff, God knows like what you want in life. So if you work hard at it, he's going to give it to you. So that's all I just did is stay to the course, kept my faith, and just worked hard. And I just, had great people around me and stuff like that. And it just all worked out. So.
Well, I got one more question, and I'm gonna let Otis and Grant, and if Coach Kelly wants to jump in, what is Kavion Henderson going to do this year for Leeds? Like, what's your goals for the season? I mean, obviously, you're in a tough division, tough region here in Central Alabama. Got some big games coming up. You had a slobber knocker last year with Moody, which is right across the road. You got your partner Davion coming on here in a little while. What is Kavion setting out this year to do? I know all states a goal. State championship always a goal, but what's Kavion Henderson looking to do this year for the Leeds Green Wave?
Really just being a great teammate. I feel like that I have more to accomplish, but really not just like right now, my senior year, it's really not more about me. Like my night, like just because I got what I wanted, but I'm still hungry. But I'm trying to get those guys ready because when I leave, it's not gonna be no more of me. So I'm trying to get those guys to step up. But, man, what I've been trying to do is just being a great leader. Like, we started off a little shaky. We lost the game that we didn't supposed to lose because I feel like I want to help my team more. Like, right now I'm playing on turf toe, which is a very, the injury is, so, nerve-wracking. So, right now I'm playing on turf toe, but I'm still playing because I know I'm trying to help my teammates and I want to win. So, my goal is to just be better, sharpen up, getting ready for college, staying healthy. That's my goal. So, I talked to my D-line coach almost 2 times out of the week, and I just tell him my goals, what I want to do, and then he tells me stuff what I have to do to be better. So just staying healthy, helping those younger guys, and just like you said, just going to that state championship.
Coach Kelly, Grant, Otis, what you got?
Well, Kavion, just you and Charlie Collins, man. I don't think there's any team in the country got a better combo of defensive ends than you two guys. Talk about your chemistry with Charlie, your Charlie Collins, just how much of a friend you guys have become and stuff like that. What kind of, if y'all talk about playing together on that line?
Yes, sir. We talk about it a lot. Today was Charlie's birthday, so I had told him happy birthday. But the thing about Charlie is when he was being recruited by Arkansas, and I'm like, Coach, who is this dude? So I'm like, because I want to know, I want to play with great players. Coach told me about them. He just told me he visited Arkansas a lot. So okay, I watched his film. Okay, this dude, he got great size, he's good. I think me and him can do some great things. So I reached out to Charlie, him and his cousin, Courtney. So I reached out to him. I said, hey man, let's get this thing rolling. Just, come on. Let's be the force. Hey, we got our thing, we got what we had to do, did what we had to do, talk about Coach Pittman. And he made the commitment, and I was just happy. So we didn't just get him, we got his cousin too. And he plays receiver. So both of those guys, man, I just like a lot, man. I think we'll do some stuff for this freshman classes that we have coming up. So I'm looking forward to playing with him. I think he's a great dude, not even just a great football player, but great dude. So we talk a lot. I just talked to him 2 days ago on the phone. He was telling me his birthday coming up. We're talking about what games we want to go get to see. So I feel like our chemistry is already going to be made off the field than on the field first.
Yeah, I saw Courtney Crutchfield for the first time when he was in the 9th grade, Kavion, in a 7-on-7 tournament. And they were playing a team out of Texas. I don't know if it's Dallas, a team out of Texas. He was in the 9th grade. He caught a touchdown pass, and they were driving to beat his team, and he intercepted a pass to save the game. And that was Kid was in the ninth grade, and I knew then he was a player. And I was surprised it took that long for everybody to start recruiting him, but they finally did. But he was big time in the ninth grade, man. It really was. And of course, Charlie, you know about him.
Yeah, oh yeah. Courtney, he's to me he slept on, but in Arkansas, I think he's getting good recognition, like him and Charlie, like number one, number two players. I think in Arkansas, I've seen we got a lot of great players down there, but like I know some stuff that's coming in Alabama. Arkansas is really hitting Alabama hard. We got another guy finna commit, so I'm just teasing with that one. We got another guy commit, so if everything go good, he commits. I think this week or next week, a guy. So that's just coming soon. So they hit Alabama hard, and we trying to hit Arkansas hard too, get those guys at the backyard. But yeah, got a lot of great players over there, like Braylon and all those guys. We got CJ, he's great. Just the chemistry we have though. But Courtney, he's that deal. Yeah, he's that deal.
You might be muted. Can't hear you, but hey, Kavion, I think I heard you say your coach in high school coached Marcel Darius, and I'll tell you, if he had anything to do with Marcel's ability, you got a good coach on your hands, man. I played against him when I was at Arkansas, when he was at Alabama, and then I played against him when I was in the NFL when he was with the Bills.
Yeah.
And we had some battles back in the day, man. The question I have for you is so like, what kind of rusher are you? Are you a speed to power guy, power right off the bat? I mean, what is what's your technique now? What are you focused on trying to perfect? And then what are you going to work on as kind of like your opportunity, something that you might not be as good at right now, but you want to focus on and get better at?
Well, to me right now, the game is changing so much. With me, just the offensive linemen, they're getting athletic too. Like I know you see the game changing a lot, like just like Trent Williams, like those guys like that. A speed rusher, like any hand-to-hand comebacks move, like say for instance, I'd be the guy with a swipe move. The offensive linemen talk now today, like they beat your swipe move, replace your hands, or you run up the field too much, they can run you out the play. So you gotta hit these guys with some power. So that's what I've been learning. It's speed to power, just bring it right to him, just bring it right to him. Like mess up his sets, like his kicks. So that's what I'm trying to be, a speed to power guy. Then I can do something off the power. So not just like, speed, then swipe or something like that. So stuff like that, I want to mix it up. I think I can do both. I can really shock people with speed, not just all power. Because some people think I'm just speed, then some people think I'm just power, but I can just do both. But in the game, SEC is known just like the one of the, like they got the best offensive linemen. So you gotta mix it up a little bit. They watch film just like you watch film. You study little tendencies. How do they lean forward when they make contact? Do they drop their head? How their hands are set wide? Do they grab you wide? Do they grab you? It's stuff like that I will do just to study the opponent. So different risks. So it's like different thing. I probably hit them with long arm. Really liking the long arm right now with the flip off of it. So stuff like that. I just think that give me over people because I get to study my opponents. I know little tendencies. I know if they're gonna run or pass. So stuff like that, I just think in SEC you got to hit them with power. You got to hit them with power. But like guys like Marcus Parsons, who I look up to, yes, I'll use a speed rush move every now and then. But if a great offensive lineman, they're athletic, they move their feet, they're gonna counter the speed. So you got to hit a guy with power. So I'm trying to be a speed to power type of guy.
Awesome.
Kelly, you got anything, Kavion?
I got an easy question for you, Kavion. Who's your favorite player to watch in the NFL?
My favorite player to watch in the NFL right now, I'll say Michael Parsons.
Good choice. I'm a Cowboys fan. He's pretty darn good. So
Yeah.
that's a speed power guy too.
Yeah, he a lot of people think he's just speed, but when that guy hits you with some power, man, he don't wear a lot. He not a good like 260, 270 type guy. He not like 6'5". It's me and him like kind of like the same height. When he hits you though, he gonna shock you, he gonna make your shoulders go back. So stuff like that. So I just want to shock him. But yeah, but I'm really right now just I don't focus on. I really been not watching the NFL. I've been focused on Arkansas, not their D line. A lot of people don't know it, man. They got a massive D line. They gonna do some stuff this year. They really didn't get to do a lot that first game because that team, if you notice, they were throwing the ball quick. So I talked to my D line coach of Arkansas. They were throwing the ball quick. He was like, "Yeah, man." I said, "Yeah, I know you can't stand those teams that throw that ball quick, man, but they giving you a compliment too." So, man, when they play the SEC game, that quarterback hold that ball a little longer, y'all gonna see because they had a great D line last year, so y'all just stay tuned. So then they're gonna be good.
Hey, Jan, I've been telling anybody that'll listen and stand still, like you gotta watch out for these Birmingham boys. Talking about you and Dallas and Davion,
Oh yeah,
TJ and Tevis and KJ down Montgomery. Like I'm like, look, guys, we've been sleeping on Central Alabama for a long time. It's some
yeah.
stuff here that needs some love, and I love. I tell you, as a fan, and I love this part of what you do. You're active on social media. You're actively trying to help recruit the university, and that's a huge thing. And I appreciate that. I know the fans do too.
Yes.
You to people, and you ain't even on campus yet. So, guys, this is Kavion Henderson, Leeds High School. Kavion, good luck the rest of the season, man. Thank you for coming
Yes,
on.
sir.
Get you back on later in the season. Check in with you. I'm gonna be down there Friday night if everything works out. I'm gonna try to come watch y'all play Friday night against L City. And I'm definitely
Spring. We played Pell City last week. Play Springville this week.
I had surgery last week, so I've been on a little bit of medication. So I ain't.
Yeah, you good. You good. You good. I just didn't want to see you down there. Then you don't see us down there. So
We go to the Moody game. We definitely gonna watch you play Moody. So, man, thank you for coming on tonight. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you again soon.
yes, sir. Thank y'all. Y'all have a nice day. Go out.
You bet, man. Talk to you later, man.
Yes, sir.
Tell y'all right now, I love that kid. I
Yeah.
absolutely love watching him. I saw that young man in practice the other day. I went up there, their offensive coordinator or one of their offensive guys, Jackson Williamson, a longtime friend of mine. Watched that kid take a 50-pound medicine ball out of a 3 technique and one hand that sucker and knock it about 10 yards back. They were chucking medicine balls at him just to practice his technique blowing off. Kid's got some serious. He's fast, but he's got some serious upper body strength. He's really going to be a dangerous kid when he gets on campus. All right, guys, let's talk about Kent State. Looking at this team, last year, Kent State, they lost everybody. All 11 on the offense. Head coach left, took a job as offensive coordinator out of Colorado with Prime Time. I'm not going to get into talking about Coach Prime. I love Coach Prime. I love what he's doing out there in Boulder. But brought in a first-year head coach, Kenny Burns. Has hired KSU on the 14th of December of 2022. He spent the last 6 years working with PJ Fleck. PJ Fleck's a great guy. I love what he does in Minnesota. Coach Burns played his college ball in Indiana. Running back, graduated in 06. He's a relatively young cat. Based on what I'm seeing, Coach, I'd love it if you had a chance to kind of dig into it. I'd love to hear what you think about their offense because it looks like they try to run an up-tempo RPO heavy offense. But losing 11 starters, having 11 guys doing all this new quarterback and running backs and receivers, I think it's going to be hard walking into Fayetteville for them to be able to be productive.
Yeah, I mean, I don't expect them to put. I mean, I don't expect them to put up as good a fight as Western Carolina did. To be honest with you, they went down to UCF and Gus took it easy on them because they had Gus's team. The Knights had 723 total yards on offense against them, and you're talking about their offense, Kent State's offense. I don't think they want to hurry too fast because, man, they were off the field quickly. 240 yards total offense. A lot of that when it didn't matter at all. This is not a good matchup for them, and this is a chance for the Hogs to fix these things that we've been talking about. So hopefully our defense is I hope they drop back and throw the ball so we can have a chance to see what kind of pass rush we've got. And but I don't expect that they'll do that very much. I think they'll slow it down and try to bide their time and just get into conference play without losing more guys.
I mean, there were one of 3 teams last week that got handed a 50-plus point loss. I mean, if that tells you where they're at.
723 total yards against you. That's a lot. It's hard to get that many yards. I mean, that's a lot of yards. So, and here's the beauty of it for Hogs fans is 389 of that was rushing, 334 through the air. So you did whatever you want to. So the Hogs ought to be able to line up and get that running game going. If they can't get it going against Kent State, we all agree we've got something to worry about.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so we'll see. It's a good spot for them to get some confidence.
They also had 334 yards through the air against UCF did against the Golden Flashes last week. They rushed for 95 yards on the ground, 145 yards passing. Kent State did. Michael Alamo threw for 145, 112 for 31 today and threw a pick. You know, where UCF really dominated Kent State last week was in the trenches. UCF registered 3 sacks and 6 tackles for loss and provided loads of pressure on the quarterback all night. The transfer just could not get time to set his feet and pick his targets. I really think this is going to be a time I'm looking for a coming out party for Landon Jackson, Jeff Coat, Cam Ball. I want to see these big guys and young guy, John Morgan third, some of these other guys. I want to see them come in and get after the quarterback and get some sacks Saturday.
Defensive line is going to be fine. It's the offensive line that's the most worrisome. The defensive line is going to be fine. I know they didn't get that much Saturday. Half of it, I don't think they were even showing a lot on defense Saturday on purpose. I mean, they're not going to. There was no point to my focus on my concern with Kent State, and it's not a concern. Well, is Arkansas going to come out focused like they were last week? Are they going to take the fight to Kent State immediately? Or are they going to come out and sleepwalk for 2 quarters? And, you know, I mean, if Arkansas has a tendency to play down to the level of the competition, I want to see them come out like they did against against Western Carolina and just take the fight to them. And there's no reason not to. They beat Western Carolina like they should. They need to do the same or worse to Kent State.
Yeah, and you know, I think I'll echo what Otis just said. I mean, I think this game 1 of this season was the fastest start that I think I have seen Arkansas, and I'll go back to my days where it was Bobby Petrino. I mean, where we walked onto the field, we knew we were going to win, but we wanted to see. I'll tell you the straight, honest truth for the starters on offense and defense when Bobby Petrino was the head coach. 2010, 2011, we were trying to figure out how quickly we would be out of the game for good. Like how many points can we score for us to be out of the game for good? That was our goal. So the goal was always by the second half, we never touched the field again. And honestly, I think maybe the earliest we ever did was maybe Missouri State, like in 2010 or 2011. I can't remember. Halfway through the second quarter, we got pulled and we didn't go back in the rest of the game. So we made it a quarter and a half, and I think it was like 35-0 with a defensive touchdown as well. And so I think that's the tendency that I want to see. And you know, Coach Pittman, once again, you know, I think, you know, he's got the tendency of not just absolutely. I think he views it as running the score up on people, but that's not necessarily what it is. That's just putting the thing away, putting it to sleep, and moving on. And it's not running the score up on folks. It's just making sure that there is no breath left in them to come back and put it away early. And let's move on to BYU. Let's move on to getting in the SEC.
It's the mentality you've got to have when you get into SEC play. Because I mean, you go back 2014, 2015, some games when Coach Bielema was here, when Dan Enos was here the first time, there were some times where they were up big on some teams. A&M was one of them, and they kind of took their foot off the gas a little bit. A&M got back in the game, got the momentum back, and ended up beating us. So I really want to see, and this is kind of that's why I like the fact that even late when Jacoby came in, they were still throwing the football.
Yeah.
Trying to make the passing game work and giving Jacoby the reps he needed to get as a second team quarterback.
100%.
Jacoby doesn't need reps handing the ball off. He needs to come in and get to run the offense in case KJ gets hurt. And that's what they did Saturday. I just like to see him a little bit earlier, but whatever.
I'm the same way with Yotis. I was really wanting to see him start. I really thought he'd come out in the third quarter, at least maybe not the first series, but by the second series, the third quarter, they'd get the seconds out there. We'd see Jacoby come in. I wanted to see Davion get a little more work. I wanted to see some of the other freshmen that are out there get a little more work on offense. You know, looking at this team defensively, you know, got a new DC and Dave Dugan. Spent some time at Arkansas State for 2 seasons. I think he was an interim head coach in 2019 when Coach Anderson split and went to Utah State. You know, you're going to rely on a 4-3 base, leaning heavy on his D-line and his linebackers to make plays up front. Looking at the size differential of our offensive line versus their defensive line, and then the size of their linebackers, we definitely have the advantage from on paper. It's how's it going to translate from on paper to on the field? And I think, again, we talked about it earlier, Brady Latham coming back to his natural left guard position, moving Josh Braun over to the right. I was really tickled Saturday with the job that Patrick Kudus and Devin Manuel did. Real quick, before we get into this, I need to get an ad in real quick for our sponsor, Barley and Vine, Bentonville, Arkansas. If you're ready for mouth-watering tavern-style pizza and a drink menu that'll make you say cheers, then head down to Barley and Vine in downtown. They specialize in scrumptious pizzas, ranging from your basic cheese to chef-inspired specialty pies you won't find anywhere else, but that's not all. Barley and Vine offers 32 beers on tap, featuring local brewery favorites and a curated selection of regional craft beers. You're more a wine person, don't worry. They got you covered from a choice selection of wines from all around the world. They're also diehard Razorbacks fans and big supporters of Big Pig Energy. Their passions extend beyond pizza, beer, and wine. They're all about that Big Pig Energy too. As far as specials go, they've got an all-you-can-eat lunch buffet Tuesdays through Friday, 11 to 2. It's $9.99. It's the best lunch value in downtown Bentonville. And don't miss out on their pint and slice on Fridays and Saturdays. You get a slice of house pizza and a featured beer of the week just for $7. So what are you waiting for? Get down to Barley and Vine. We also have a little special that I'm going to announce right now for the folks that are listening. The folks might be listening later. If you go into Barley and Vine any day of the week, lunch, dinner, mention Big Pig Podcast, you're going to receive a free pizza dip with a purchase of a full-size pizza. It's a great value. It's a good opportunity to have a great meal in the Bentonville area, especially Friday, Saturday night after the game. Right now, I am very pleased to introduce the hot seat section sponsored by the First Seat in Bentonville, Arkansas, number 88 out of Moody, Alabama, Moody High School, caught his first touchdown for the Razorbacks. Davion, thank you for joining us tonight. How you doing, brother?
Good. How about you?
Man, if I was any better, it'd be two of me. But here lately, I've been losing weight, so there might be two of me laying somewhere else. I don't know. Congratulations, brother, on the first touchdown, man. I was watching. I think I told you Saturday evening or Sunday morning. I scared my wife, the dogs, and my neighbors because I caught that cross route, caught that pass.
Yeah, I forgot what day it was, but yeah, I remember.
So tell our Big Pig listeners, tell Razorback fans, man, tell us about that journey from Central Alabama kid playing at Moody High School, doing the things you did at Moody, going to All-State last year, missing the Alabama All-Star game. Matter of fact, I believe you were the offensive MVP. In that, and then getting to Arkansas, and then what happened on Saturday, man. Tell us about that journey. To give us like a 2-minute run through, like what was that journey like?
Honestly, I can't even describe it because it was crazy. Because at first, I didn't even think I was gonna come to Arkansas. So it was like I thought like last minute it was gonna end up changing because I didn't want to be so far away from home because it was gonna be like it's gonna be a change of scenery. So I didn't know what I was gonna do, but I ended up sticking with it. And it's been the best decision I've ever made. So
Right on. What was the primary factor? You say you had some apprehension about being this far away from your mom, from home and being home from Alabama. What was the primary factor that ended up sealing the deal for Davion?
My last phone call with Coach Pitt and Coach Guyton, we really talked a lot about like how it would be when I got here, and then like on my last visit, how they treated me when I came up here. Yeah, it felt like I was gonna be at home, so that's what really made me stay.
How's the transition been from high school to college, man? I know it's a big jump. You got there a little late because you didn't get up there till the summer. I know you didn't get up there in the spring. How's that transition been?
The transition's been smooth actually. The only thing that I could say has been real difficult is like my time, like managing my time good or like perfectly because I don't have time to do anything besides football takes up everything. So like, and now that school started, I definitely don't have time to do things. So other than going to football practice or going to class, I'm not doing nothing.
Hey, Grant, tell him, stay off Dixon. Get you.
Oh yeah, you got
I'll
it.
tell you, David, so they always tell us, man, you got a triangle when you play football and school starts, and you can only pick three, right? So you got football, school, and a social life, but you can only pick two sides of the triangle. So you got to decide which ones. I would suggest football and school, and try to fit a social life in maybe after the game on Saturday for a little bit, and then get back into it on Sunday. But yeah, man, it's a full-time grind, no doubt about it.
Yeah. I didn't even do anything after our game Saturday. In our game, we had an early game.
And here's what you got to think about too, Davion. This is Coach Kelly. Here's what you got to think about too. I've had kids that played for me that have played college, played in the NFL. And, these days when you're making that decision, what you're going to do with your extra time, you've probably got goals one day, and you should to have played in the NFL, right? Play football for a living. That's a good goal to have.
Yes, sir.
If you have those, every decision you make between now and the next 3 or 4 years is going to affect whether you're playing in the NFL. So when you're thinking about, God, I need to be going hanging out with the guys, or I could be doing something to make me better in football, watching a game, watching film or whatever. If you spend your time now getting ready for the NFL, you'll be glad you did. But if you spend your time now in socializing and you don't make your goals, you'll wish you would have. So think about that a little bit when it's hard to make a decision,
Yes, sir.
And it will train you for the NFL as well, because I'll tell you, because I spent a brief time in it myself. It's a full-time job. It is 100% football. You think going to class? You go to class, but you study football, and it's it's a 12-hour shift every day, all day, and that's what your life is dedicated to. So, setting that groundwork now, if that's your goal, is to go play in the NFL and retire from the NFL one day, putting yourself in that position now from a headspace perspective is a good idea.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Davion, what did you see from Jacoby? That pass he threw, that's not an easy pass. He was going to the left and threw it back to you to the right there. Talk about that play there. What your kind of connection with Jacoby and stuff.
Honestly, while that play was going on, before the play even happened, all I hear is coach yelling at me, telling me to get across the field. But we haven't signaled the play in yet, so I'm just thinking get across the field. He signals in the play, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's gonna be a touchdown. But once I come across the field, I don't even see Jacoby. So I'm thinking I'm not getting the ball, but then as soon as I look up, the ball's in my face. So I was surprised because I didn't see him at all. So once you can't see the quarterback, you don't think you're getting the ball. But I be with Jacoby every day at practice. So I feel like me and Jacoby got a good connection because he throw me the ball a lot because me and him with the twos, we take a lot of twos reps together. So I would say he's comfortable with me. I'm comfortable with him. So I could vouch. I could say I already seen that in my head happening already.
Nobody wants KJ to get hurt. None of us, because we all know how great KJ is. But if he did, don't you feel like Jacoby can come in there and run most of the offense? I'm not saying he's good as KJ, but I'm just saying that last year there was a big drop off when KJ wasn't in the game. This year, if Jacoby goes in, he should be able to run pretty much the same offense, shouldn't he?
Yes, I think Jacoby's ready. If KJ was to go down, hopefully he doesn't. Sure. I think Jacoby would be ready because he putting in countless hours in the film room, at practice. He's always with Coach Enos. So I think he knows it just like KJ knows it. So I think he'll step in just fine if KJ went down.
So tell me, has any more experienced players on the team helped you adjust his life with Razorback? I know that adjustment. Living in Moody, going to Fayetteville, it's a big difference.
Yes, sir. So honestly, it's one of Sam Bakke because Sam is a receiver too, so I'm usually with Sam every day, and he's from Georgia, so he's he has the similarity of us going far away from home. So I got a connection with Sam. Sam been walking me through this process a lot, and now that he's been hurt, he's been really teaching me, showing me what to do. And I would say Andrew Armstrong, the other transfer receiver, he been just just showing me with his experience. I know he hasn't been here, but with his experience in college football and all that, he's been helping me a lot too.
Outstanding.
What was one like for you? I know it was in Little Rock, so it's a little bit different. You hadn't got the full exposure to Razorback Stadium. I mean, you're what 40 a little less than 48 hours away from getting the full running through the A into Razorback Stadium. 80,000 people. But what was game one like for you? Dressing out, getting to go, getting to play. First game in college, and then tell us a little bit about your excitement level for this coming Saturday when you get to do it in the real home stadium.
Okay, so playing in Little Rock, honestly, I can't put into words like how it felt because I've never felt something like that before. It was like running out of the A, seeing a whole lot of people, and like, cause in high school you max people at a game probably 3,000 maybe. Going out there and playing in front of like 50 is insane. Like I couldn't describe it. Running out of that A, I know it's not gonna touch like running out of the A in Fayetteville, but running out of that A I was just as hyped as I would have been. But I know I'm excited for playing in Fayetteville because I've been to one game and the game that I went to it was sold out. It's like 80,000 people there. So I know from watching it and probably being there, it's gonna be a lot different.
Oh, it's different. I can tell you that from experience.
Davion, got two more questions and then we're gonna let you go. Man, you're a popular guy in the Moody Leagues there. Everybody knows who Davion Dozier is. But the young men, the young guys, the guys behind you, what's one thing you would tell them, man, about that journey you've taken from the young man that I started seeing when you were 9th, 10th grade at Moody up until today, just getting your college career started? What's one thing you tell them they need to do to get where you're at?
I would tell them just take it one day at a time, get better and better each day, because you gotta how I want to put this. you can't like you can't take a day for granted, honestly. Like you can't say you're gonna do something this day and then like not do it. You gotta keep working, just put your head down and work. And that's what I told a lot of them before I left, because I was a lot of people was telling me to transfer like in my first couple of years, like my 9th, 10th grade year, because like our program, like it wasn't good. Like we were barely winning games. Nobody had went to college out of Moody in like a while for football. So really for me, I would just tell them to just put their head down and work, because that's what I did. I didn't want to transfer. I wanted to stay home and I wanted to build it from the ground up. So if you want to play college football, you want to do what I do, I would say just take it one day at a time and work every day and compete.
Well, I will say this. This is one of the best young coaches in the state of Alabama.
Coach.
Okay.
Yeah.
Last thing.
There are no other.
We'll get this last question. We're going to let you jet because I know you ain't been out of practice long. You probably need dinner and go study. What aspects of your game are you working on to improve, man? What are we going to see out of Davion the rest of this season?
Honestly, I got a lot of room to grow in. Like it's not like high school where you could just go run at somebody or run past somebody and just catch the ball. It's more of like the little things, like getting in and out of breaks, using my size to an advantage. Um, it's really just those things, and just driving out of my routes and just getting in and out of breaks is really what I can say creates separation, because it's a lot different than high school. So, but that's what I've been mainly working on.
Awesome. Guys, you got anything else for Davion before we let him go?
Good luck this season, man. Stay healthy and look forward to seeing you on the field.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Davion, I'm
Dirty man.
Coach Tuck, you tell him get some grease and formula for that beard. He's starting to look like me a little bit.
All right. I'll let them know.
I appreciate you, brother.
All right, well.
Good evening. Go Hawks.
Right, man.
Love that young man. I got a personal relationship with him and with his one of his mentors is an old high school buddy of mine, played with me and Coach Gaines over at Moody, guys. I'm telling you, he's one of the tops. He's came out of that Mark Freeman system in Thompson High School in Alabama, and Mark Freeman carries a pretty big stick with coaches around here. Great Christian man, good coach, but he's putting out good assistants, and they're getting good head coaches at small schools. Real quick, man, before we get to the Barley Buying Hotline, we're going to do the coaches pick them. We did them last year. Final tally, I think Coach might have won, but I think there might have been some massaging of the numbers there toward the end of the year. I ain't real sure. Just a little bit. But we got a slate of games. You know, the second week it's kind of wonky. There's not a whole lot of good games out there, but we do have some games. We're gonna start with Grant, then go to Otis, and we'll go to Coach, and then I'll go last. Nebraska at Colorado, man. Colorado just absolutely I love watching them beat TCU on Saturday. I love what Coach Prime's doing out there in Boulder. Colorado comes in this game a three-point favorite with an over and under of 59.5. Grant, where you got Nebraska and Colorado?
So this is spread included, correct? If I remember from last year.
Straight up. If you want to points, that's fine. I just give the guys the points because there are some guys that watch this thing that bet. So, you know.
And I'll tell you what, I mean, I'll go Colorado just because I think Coach Prime is fun to watch. So, and I think he's got some athletes on the team, and more than anything, just want to see him be successful. So I'll go Colorado.
Yes.
We're going straight up. I go Colorado. And I would have gone straight up against TCU last weekend. I had no idea they were 20.5-point underdog.
And a buddy of mine put a $45 bet on the money line and won $550.
I've never bet on a football game in my life. I don't think I've ever bet on anything, but I promise you, my son lives in Denver, and he told me as I was driving home from Little Rock that Colorado's 20.5-point underdog. I said, they won. I said, you got to be kidding me if they were 20.5-point under. I picked them straight up. I mean, I would have. That was not an upset, I don't think, but whatever. I didn't get to see the game, so maybe I'm talking out of ignorance, but I would have definitely bet on that had I known it was 20.5 points.
Coach, what do you got?
Well, you know, the Vegas guys don't make a lot of mistakes. And to be only 3-point favorites at home is weird. It's just weird against Nebraska. Nebraska's the second worst team in the Big Ten over the last 5 years. And with a 3-point lead, a 3-point favorite, it doesn't. I want to bet Nebraska, but I can't go against Colorado at home. But I think it'll be a close game. That I go way closer than everybody thinks it will.
Colorado, Nebraska.
Colorado.
I'm going.
Rule's a good coach, man. Rule's a good coach. He's going to do fine at Nebraska in time.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah,
it's going to be fine. Ole Miss, Tulane. The Ole Miss is favored by 7.5, over and under 67. I mean, this is a Willie Fritz game. I mean, Ole Miss came out last week, put 73 up on Mercer. Granted, it's an FCS team. Tulane I still think Willie Fritz has got something going on down in Tulane because he had some opportunities to leave, and he stayed right down there in the New Orleans area. So, you know, what do you think? Ole Miss, Tulane, Grant, where you at?
Tulane, I'll go Tulane. Shake it up a little bit.
My man. Otis, what you got?
I hope Tulane wins. I'm going to go with Ole Miss. So if I'm picking who I think will win, I hope Tulane beats them.
Coach?
Ole Miss.
Cover?
Who's up?
Cover.
You think Ole Miss will cover, Coach? That's what he's asking you.
He's every time he talks, it goes in and out on me. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Do I think Ole Miss will cover? Yes, I do.
I'm going with Grant. I'm going Tulane. I think Ole Miss to win anything. I hope they always lose. I was raised to hate Ole Miss. My biggest fear is my son will go to Ole Miss. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Well, he'll have fun with Lane Kiffin.
With Joey Fresh. Bobby Petrino, Connor Wegman looked good last week. Going down to Miami, they lost to Miami last year. They're only favored by 4 points on the road. Over and under is 51. Who you got, Grant?
I'll go with A&M.
DM for Grant. Otis.
I'll go with A&M.
Bobby Petrino and A&M.
It's, as much as I hate to say it, I think A&M's going to go down 10 on Miami. I don't think it's going to be as close as 4 points.
If Jimbo lets Coach Petrino actually do what he does, in the next 2 to 3 years, A&M will win a national championship.
I think they'll be contending for 1 too, Grant. I'm with you.
It's Jimbo's going to get his own way, but if he lets it happen with the talent they've got, they will win. I don't want to say they're going to win one, but they will be in the hunt for. They'll be in the college football.
They'll be in the playoffs. I agree.
I just don't know if Jimbo will let him, man. That's the one thing.
I don't think he's got a choice, Otis. I don't think he has a choice. I think it's, we're going to fire you with cause, and you won't get your big buyout if you don't let him do his thing.
Right. That makes sense.
Team and the only hole that I see is the same hole I saw last year, Coach, and that's that left tackle. The left tackle did not look great. They were getting pressure, but Wegman was doing a great job rolling to his right and getting open and doing the things he needed to do. He throws the ball very, very well on the move. So that's the only thing I saw at A&M Saturday that kind of made me go, their offensive line still.
It does, but a great play caller can hide your weaknesses, even if they're on the offensive line. And Bobby P is a great play caller.
Since Coach Leach passed, rest in peace, Coach Leach. I think he's probably the best one in college football right now, as far as being able to do things fast and be aggressive too. The big game Saturday, I think it's the biggest game on the slate. Texas at Alabama. They're coming in Tuscaloosa Saturday afternoon. Bama's favored by 7 on an over and under of 54. Who you got, Grant?
Tuscaloosa, Alabama all day.
Vanderbilt sucks. Going with Alabama.
Yeah.
I couldn't help but say that. I looked and I saw their name next on the list. No, Alabama's gonna, unless Texas does something better than they did last week. I mean, they didn't look very good offensively last week. Alabama's gonna roll them up.
I didn't hear you if you hollered at me, but if I'm going with Alabama, and I think they'll more than cover the 7 points. I think they'll beat them pretty bad. At least 2 or 3 touchdowns.
I think I'm about 18. I think it's going to be 18 points. I think they're really going to flex their muscles against Texas. Vandy, Wake Forest, coach has already picked. He's already picked.
Wake Forest for me as well.
Wake Forest.
I'm gonna go on a limb, and I do this every year. Coach,
Don't do it. Don't do it.
I believe in Clark Lee. I do. I think he's a hell of a like the guy. I like what he's trying to do at Vandy. I know they're playing in a construction zone right now, but I just have this feeling. I'm gonna say this now. I think Vandy wins Saturday. I think they win close. I think it's going because Wake Forest don't have Sam Hartman anymore. If they had Sam Hartman, I'd say Wake Forest all day. I think Vanderbilt's going to be bowl eligible this year. I think Vandy wins 6 games, and I'm calling it right now. Everybody I've told this has looked at me and like made that face. I think they're going to win 6 games this year.
That's just silly. That's just silly talk. Have you been drinking?
You think you're on medication, man. I think it's valid.
Parts and values. So, I mean, it could be the drugs or it could be the fact that I really like Clark Lee. Another SEC game. Auburn's going out to Berkeley to play California. Auburn's favored by 6.5 on the road. Over and under is 54. What you got, Grant?
So similar to A&M, I think that, Hugh Freeze has proved that he can do it. He did it at Liberty last year, and he's done some things there at Ole Miss. Obviously, I think they're going to be another one in a couple years once that offense gets learned and it's kind of seeped into the younger, freshman, sophomore class. They've got some things to build there. Auburn's going to be a dangerous team. I'll take Auburn this week. Probably a little bit more of a pick 'em because, I think they're still in that first year of learning. Under Hugh Freeze, you got a whole new group in there, but I'll take Auburn.
Yeah, I'll go with Auburn.
I will too. I go with Auburn too. California was, the OC at California was the head coach at Texas State, and I went and watched them live about 8 times last year. Was not impressed with their offense. I can't believe they put up any points, although he's been a better play caller than he is as a head coach when you've got to divide your time. But Auburn, I think, easily covers that.
Final game of the slate we got for the Pick'ems this week. Kent State at Arkansas. Hogs are favored by 38, over and under 58.5. Give me a winner. Give me a score. Grant, go ahead.
I'll say Arkansas 56-14.
I've already put it in on the prediction today, so I'm not going to try. I don't like people that do 4 or 5 different scores. Some in the media do that. I picked 45-14 this morning in my story, and so I'll stick with that. I really think Arkansas will probably score more than 45 though, but I just know Sam may shut it down some. But 45-14, it says I've already picked that.
I think Arkansas 66. Kent State 6.
You're probably closer than I am, but I feel more 45. I went under on that too much.
I just think Kent State's terrible.
I think they're hot garbage. I've looked at this. I looked at the Kent State game from last week. I looked at what we did last week. I think with the combination of Brady Latham coming back, we talked about that tonight. Moving Josh Braun back over to the right side where he needs to be. I think they're going to make a concerted effort to run the football and really, really dominate the ground game. But I also think they're going to be running a lot of RPO and a lot of play action out of it. Look for a big game out of the tight ends. I look for the receivers to stand up again this week. I think the defense may score a couple touchdowns this week. I feel like that's a very good chance. Special teams, I want to see Isaiah Satanga get loose. That kid is stupid fast. I watched him run state title championships back in his senior year at Fayetteville when he was running the hurdles, and that boy is slick fast. Like I've never seen anybody like that move. I mean, he reminds me of what was his name? Wasn't JJ Metters. He played around about the same time. Otis, you're going to help me here.
Joe Adams. He reminds me a little bit of Joe Adams too, but I think Isaiah, if return guy, and Jacoby at backup quarterback, I think that's the 2 most improved areas on the football team this year.
Absolutely. I'm like Coach. I think we're going to score over 60. I got 63-0. I don't think Kent State's going to be able to score. I really don't. I think Coach Woodson, Coach Williams is going to have something dialed up to really get after the quarterback this week. I think Kent State's offensive line, especially at the tackle and the interior guards, is going to be severely overmatched, considering the fact that the depth we have. I know we don't have Pooh Paul for the first half. We don't have Quincy Roach Jr. for the first half. Both those guys are out for targeting penalties last week. I'm really looking forward to seeing these guys get out there Saturday and the defense get after it. I mean, he took the ball last week coming out of the first half. I think he's going to do the opposite this week. I think he's going to put the defense on the field and let them go to work. I really hope that we can see more Jacoby Criswell Saturday. I want to see more Davion. I want to see more of Isaiah Gustave. I really want to see more Iman Robinson at tackle. I want to see him get some work. That kid he's a big kid. He's special. And Andrew Chambly. Those 2 kids, I kind of had picked them to the beginning of the season. I really want to see them get some significant playing time. And I know in Sam's previous tenure here with him and Enos, they like to take the freshmen that they knew were going to play tackle and kind of move them inside and play them at a guard to get them some reps, get them some snaps, relieve some pressure off the other guys late in games. And I think that if they can do that, it's going to be huge later in the season. Because, I mean, you guys know we got a hell of a gauntlet coming up after BYU with, going to Baton Rouge, going to Dallas, going to Oxford, and then going to Tuscaloosa. It's going to be a murderer's row, and I don't envy anybody that schedule. So, appreciate you guys being on. We were going to do a call in tonight. I can't get the thing to work correctly, so we're gonna shelf that till next week. May do a little bit more call in with the fans. But guys, remember our sponsors, Barley and Vine, Bentonville, Arkansas. This has been Matt Mosley, Coach Kevin Kelly, Mr. Otis Kirk, and Mr. Grant Cook. Thank you for joining us on Big Pig Energy tonight. Check us back out. We're going to be live Saturday afternoon after the game. Myself, Brad Caldwell from Arkansas Sports Network will be live doing a call-in show to talk about the ball game after the game. So check us out on YouTube. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter. And make sure you check out our sponsors, Barley and Vine. And then also check out Better Mind, Better Body, man. That guy makes some awesome clothes. He's doing some really cool stuff for Big Pig Energy. We've got some shirts that are dropping tonight. Want to kick this in there real quick. Anything bought for Big Pig on this site, all the profits are going to the Fayetteville Boys and Girls Club. We're not making a dime. Okay. We're giving this money 100% to the Fayetteville Boys and Girls Club, Northwest Arkansas, the Donald W. Reynolds Boys and Girls Club. Those guys are great partners of ours. We're looking forward to doing some special stuff this year with Big Pig Energy. Again, guys, thank you. Thank you to Davion Dozier. Thank you to Kevion Henderson for coming in and speaking with us.